Hello, everyone. Welcome to our live today. Today we have a lovely live with Miss Natasha. We will be talking about real estate. We will be talking about investment, and most importantly, we will be talking about women empowerment. I am really interested to learn more about Miss Natasha today. She's gonna tell us about how we can take advantage of the things we have. She just came live now and she requested in the question bar below. We're going to carry this conversation today in English because Natasha speaks English. She is Lebanese Canadian, but she prefers. Hi, Natasha.
Hi,
How are
Hessa, good
you?
morning.
Good morning.
Yeah,
Good morning
good
in
afternoon,
Canada.
actually. Good morning and good afternoon, all at the same time.
Yes, we were supposed to have the live this morning, but due to like a little timing difference, so we decided to do
Yeah,
it now. And I think it works best now. I think people would watch it more now rather than
yeah,
when
yeah, I hope so. I'm so sorry about that because even on my calendar, it put 11 a.m. EST.
yeah.
So I don't know, it didn't do I don't know why, the conversion, but it's okay. It all worked out anyway for the
I
better.
think,
I
yeah,
think
I
most
think for
people
the
in
better,
Kuwait
yeah.
are online, yeah, in the afternoon anyway.
Exactly, absolutely.
Yeah.
So how are you? How are you enjoying Canada?
You know what? I'm okay. Like, the weather is not the best. It's okay, but it's been very rainy, and with a lot of rain, there's also a lot of like, 'cause the grass, you get a lot of pollen and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I can say that I do miss the heat. Actually, I really love the heat. I know.
We have lots of heat here. We can send you some if you want.
Yeah, that's right. How about you? How's the summer going for you so far?
It's going well. We're traveling for Eid, so like in a couple
Oh,
of days we will be going to Egypt.
oh, that's
Mhm.
amazing. You're
Yeah,
gonna have a great time.
yeah, thank you.
That's really so nice. Yeah, everybody's traveling this year. I think it's like the post-COVID travel
Yeah,
bug.
yes, absolutely. So, Natasha, can you tell us
Yeah,
a little bit about yourself, like a little background about what you
sure.
do?
Sure. So I'm actually Lebanese Canadian, and I started my career in education. I still work in education, just not in the classroom anymore. I do intervention and instructional coaching in Kuwait, which is my new home. And I also have a SME, so a small to medium enterprise in Canada, where I do real estate, and we operate out of 3 provinces.
Mm-hmm.
As well as in Kuwait, I do relocation real estate. So we relocate expats or Kuwaitis who want to shift their home, and if possible and when possible, if they're looking to buy or sell, we partner with Kuwaiti companies to help them buy and sell their real estate.
Ah, that's nice.
Yeah.
And you own those companies, or
No, in Kuwait, it's more of like I work freelance with
yeah.
them. In Canada, I own the corporation.
Wow, wow,
Yeah.
wow, wow. And
Yeah,
when did
so
you
it's
start on
crazy.
real estate?
I started in real estate when I first came to Kuwait in 2014 now. So that's
Mm,
going on about 8 years, because it was like on the cusp of 2014, 2015.
mm-hmm.
Right before I came to Kuwait, I bought my first property, and it was like I was kind of born into this because my parents had real estate, and then my
Mm,
dad like had a small, like what we would call like a fourplex, so kind of like
yeah.
a small building, I guess. Um, and uh, I guess I was kind of groomed into it in some way or another. It wasn't something that I particularly saw myself in.
Mm-hmm.
To be honest, I always thought I would be a mom and a housewife. I never thought I would own my own business. I'm still waiting to do the other while I'm doing this. And and I was on a movie set here in Canada because I do quite a bit of TV, both
Uh-huh.
here and in Kuwait, actually. And I was on a movie set doing makeup, and there was one of the actors, and he was doing real estate full time, and he's like, you should really take advantage of it, especially if you want to pursue your passions. Real estate has such a good ROI, which is return on investment, and then you can go all over the world, et cetera, while creating your future. And so I just started learning from this gentleman, slow by slow, to what you would call a mentor, and he basically taught me how to get into real estate. And from there, I've done thousands of hours of my own learning. I will go to the seaside in Kuwait, like on, the Gulf Road, and I will sit and just listen to podcasts while I walk up and down, and learn and train myself how to get better and better at it. Because really the plan is pretty simple. It's just getting in, because it's a very high floor and very low ceiling. Especially now, post-COVID, prices are very high with real estate. Markets globally are really high. Mortgages are high. But once you get in, I would say, on your first property, from there, it just becomes easier and easier.
Really?
Yeah.
This is how you started? You first just, you tried to purchase your own first real estate, and then slowly you started building up on it?
Actually, I borrowed the money from my mom for my first property. I borrowed, and we're going back to 2014. So these are pre-COVID prices, when, the market was really easy to enter. So I just want to preface that for the listeners, because I also know in Kuwait that the market is really high. So I borrowed the money from my mom then, and I bought my first property, and I did what we would call a BRRRR. So you buy more of a dilapidated property, you fix it just a little bit, and I'm pretty hands-on. I really actually enjoy doing those small repairs. So you fix it just a little bit, and then you either refinance it or sell it at a better price.
Wow.
Or you rent it. You rent it with a really, like, a good rent margin, so that you have a little bit of spread, and then you just keep accumulating that money. That money's not your money. You see that money as the business money. With that, you can do more repairs. You can save, to have a little bit of equity there, so that you then get another property. And so that's pretty much what I did, and that's kind of a global strategy to just buy, renovate, rent it, repeat, or sell it. But depending where you live and the tax margins, you might not want to sell right away. You might want to wait. I know in Kuwait we don't have tax, so you could potentially buy and sell within a short period of time, whereas in Canada, you'd have to wait about a year before you can sell it to have a bit of a less capital gains.
Oh my God.
It might be my old students, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're my old students. I know, it's so funny. It's so funny, yeah. I've taught a lot of kids in my life. I've taught a lot of kids. Yeah, it's so funny. Yeah, so I think
I love them. I never thought of fixing it just a little bit. I thought, like, in my mind, it's always like you have to fix the whole thing, or like from the root all the way, I never thought of just doing some touch-ups.
That's what? To be honest, if you buy one that's really dilapidated, then you'd have to put in more effort. You'd have to do a lot more work to it. I don't like to focus on those properties. I mainly try to focus on properties that are what I would call B and C neighborhoods, that are not totally down to the ground, that are in the midway. Like, they need some paint, maybe some new baseboards, maybe you need to take out the floors, maybe you need to do new kitchen tiles. And even when I work with some clients in Kuwait who have apartments, because we have a lot of apartments in Kuwait and they rent them, sometimes they also, have tenants who do some damage. And I always tell them, like, we need to find the happy medium, so that you're not spending everything that you've just earned so that you can do a little bit of repairs and then rent it again for, you know, a better price margin. Maybe you were renting it at, like, say, 850 KD. Now you can rent it at 1,000. You know, let's maybe put in a new, you know, like new kitchen cabinets.
Yeah.
So you don't want to make it unaffordable for yourself or for a tenant, but you want to make it, you know, affordable and where you're going to be able to make some money on it. Because essentially real estate is not, it depends. If you have a big volume, then you might want to move properties quickly. But in my case, by trade, I'm a teacher, you know, so, and I'm going to continue to work in my field. I love teaching. It's been it's a wonderful vocation. So the real estate kind of substitutes my income, and it's a long-term investment for my future. And I know many educators actually in Kuwait who are buying in the region, such as, say, Cyprus, Turkey, the UAE, and I think going forward they'll probably buy in Saudi and in other areas that are opening up, and that's also their kind of like pension plan.
So in Kuwait, I don't know, to me personally, I feel like I can strategize investing real estate out abroad. But how do you strategize real estate in Kuwait? Is it like through buying apartments?
Well, for me personally, I can't buy yet. I'm hoping that will change. I know, I'm really hoping that would change. What I basically tell some of our clients is, if you already have a home, you want to see if you can get a permit to build up, maybe build another apartment, build up, and then rent that apartment. Or if you can, if you and your spouse or you on your own, if you could try to get a loan and then get a property, you know, buy, you know, there's some new areas like Hassan Mubarak and so forth. You know, there's new areas. Try to get a property and just run your numbers. Run the numbers. What makes sense? How much would you have to rent this for in order to pay the loan, you know, for your mortgage, and then the bills, and then have at least, I like to personally give a margin, even in Canada, of around $300 a month.
Okay.
So I would say in Kuwait, probably about $200, $250, only because labor in Kuwait is a lot cheaper than it is in Canada. So you can get somebody to paint the whole apartment, you know, say for 100 KD, right? Whereas in Canada, it's going to cost you around 1,000. So you kind of, I try to price it out so that the client has a little bit of a margin there every month. And if you can do things on your own, do them on your own, right? Like paint or whatever. If you can do certain things on your own, you know, if you have those capacities, sure, why not? So if somebody is looking for like get rich quick, this real estate is not it. It's totally not it. However, in the long term, you're building a portfolio. So it's just building a portfolio over time, over the long term. And the beauty of Kuwait is that we have a lot of people that come in from outside to work who have really good jobs and have a really good income, or they have a subsidized income from their employer where they can pay to live in a beautiful property.
For the residents.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that would be sort of like a market that you could tap into if you did have an apartment. And then also there's a lot of young Kuwaitis who are getting married and who also have great jobs who want to live in a nice place, right? So the market for tenants, in my opinion, is really good, pretty good, and the financials can make sense. It just, you know, it just depends what you're looking to buy. So really, at the end of the day, it's a numbers game and a people game. So you just run the numbers and then you source the tenants, and it's really the exact same thing in Canada.
And you run the numbers with a real estate agent or on your own?
I would say, to begin with, I would say, like, look at how much, say, you have that you can put down on a property. What would the bank give you for a mortgage? Or where do you want to buy? If you want to buy, say, if you want to buy in Kuwait, or if you're going to buy outside, and then you look at, okay, this is what we need to make. This is how long, you know, our mortgage amortization would be, what kind of bills do we have. You know, if you're buying outside Kuwait, for sure you're going to have property tax. You might have all kinds of different bills, let's say, hypothetically speaking. In Kuwait, you'll probably have water, electricity, maybe some other small things, and then, you know, your mortgage. So as long as the numbers make sense, and, you know, you can withstand when you don't have a tenant, it's something that I encourage everyone to do, and I always encourage women to get into real estate, to have that as your future. You never know in the future when you might want to sell it, something to leave to your children, because the truth is, you know, land is land. There is land, but nobody's making any more of it unless it's man-made, right? Yeah.
Yeah. What would you recommend to be some steps for any woman to take? How can they start?
So to be totally honest with you, Hassan, for me, I am a huge spender. And that's what I always say, like, I am such a big spender that I needed something to supplement my income. No, truthfully, I don't want to lie to the viewers. So I needed something to supplement my income and sustain for my future in the future, because especially if you're going to work abroad or live abroad, you know, like Kuwait, just like Canada, we earn a pension, but that pension is based on our years of work, our years of service within our own countries. So for many of us, we might be abroad, so we have to supplement that income in another way. So for a lot of ladies who do go abroad, or who want to be, say, full-time moms, who have kids at home, you know, who are working part-time, who've taken, say, a few years off of work, I think that real estate is a really excellent way for them to have sort of like a legacy plan for themselves, for their children, something they can pass on to their children, something that in the case of anything, in the case something were to happen to their spouse, you know, to them, they can still have an income coming in. It's like an insurance plan almost. And if you're doing it properly and you're not spending everything that comes in, I would say about 90% of the time, you're going to accrue income throughout, you know, 10, 20, 25 years, and you're going to be able to pay that property off, and then, you know, you have something free and clear for yourself. The hardest part is just getting in, especially now post-COVID. Even when I went to the bank in Kuwait, I know that now they've also changed their lending rules. So whoever somebody banks with, they'd have to go and check with their bank. And it's the same in Canada. You know, there's been some tightening on how much the bank will lend and, of course, mortgage rates.
So if someone wants to start, let's say start small, how would they start small? They would, I feel, I don't know, I'm not an expert. I'm just assuming. Would it be easier to start abroad than in Kuwait, because in Kuwait real estate is really high?
So I would say if they wanted to, if they did have a little bit of capital and they did have some savings, I would suggest whether they're an independent or with a partner, such as, say, like a family member, or, you know, they want to go into business together. And I'm gonna preface that by stating you do need a good lawyer. If whoever you go into business with, even if you're three friends, because I do have a partner, I do have an angel investor on some of my properties, but these are ironclad with a lawyer. I don't tell anyone to do anything without a lawyer and a good accountant. It's money very well spent. I would suggest that whatever you're going to do, you make sure you have a good lawyer and a good accountant, and you all sit down together, like, no hard feelings. You know, we're friends, or we're brother, sister, or we're two cousins. No hard feelings, but everything has to be in black and white, because just like Kuwait and Canada are very similar They're very, very similar, especially when it comes to the law and stuff. You know, you got to have things in place in case something was to happen. So then I would say, see what is your income, go check with the bank, see what is your income in comparison to what they'll give you, and then start looking at some properties. Just get a real estate agent and start looking at some properties and see, can I get into this market? And while you're doing that, also like look at, say, Turkey or Cyprus, because they also have a lot of different, what can I say, a lot of different leveraging power with how they structure a lot of their apartments. And they will do like an all-inclusive feature where they will rent the property for you. They'll manage everything, and then every month they just send you an invoice. Actually, even in Oman, they have the same type of structure. When I was looking last year in Oman, it was the apartments they would be like condos. They were around 100,000, and it's like they do everything for you, and every month they tell you, okay, you know, this is what happened, these are the repairs, and this is how much money you have going into your account. So if Kuwait is not feasible at this time, you might want to look at another market and try to get in there. And I would say from, you know, what I hear people talking about, a lot of people talk about Turkey, a lot of people talk about Cyprus. Some people are also investing in the UK. There's a lot of new builds in the UK. Of course, Canada would be excellent for anybody who is looking for that. However, right now, for the next 2 years, there are no foreign buyers allowed just due to some government, just some political factors. Even the U.S., they have so many different structures in the U.S. where you can become an accredited investor, and then from there, you can invest in the U.S. And there's some really cool things going on, such as storage units, and you can get involved in like a group investment for storage units. Also like large complexes with like 300 apartments. So there's a lot out there. It's just sort of getting your feet wet and not having that fear, because a lot of people are afraid of real estate.
Yes, the fear of real estate is because of the commitment, I believe. And
yeah, it's the commitment.
The amount of information that needs to be processed.
Yes, absolutely. I 100% agree with you. The commitment, the responsibility, as I said earlier, it's a human business and a money business, because when you're in the rental market and you are renting, you're dealing with human beings, and they come with, you know, complex issues and wants and desires, and I need a new floor, and I broke the door, and, you know, and again, Canada and Kuwait are very similar. We have a lot of laws around protection of the tenant. So you as the landlord, it's a very fine line, and I deal with it with my clients in Kuwait all the time. It's the same thing. You have to find that really happy medium where everybody's happy. The landlord's happy and the tenant's happy, and they get what they want and you get what you want. However, you know, of course, there's agencies who can take care of all of that for you if someone didn't want to be hands-on. There's agencies that do it for you. And I think the hardest part now, as I said, post-COVID, is just getting into the market, because a lot of people are afraid. They're waiting for this very large crash to happen. This is what I hear all the time.
Yeah.
It's like, this crash is coming. Well, I think we're kind of in it. Like, mortgage rates are up, you know, they're very high. It's a little bit more difficult to buy. There's more lending rules. However, I think to get out of that fear mindset and to just go for it. Just go for it and try. Even I noticed that a lot of, when I was, just before I left, a lot of people were talking in Kuwait about Georgia, purchasing in Georgia and doing like an Airbnb and so forth. You know, of course, right now, as we mentioned, it is a little bit more difficult, and there are times, I'm not going to lie, there are times where I do have to use my income to pay for some small things here and there. But for the most part, if you are leveraging it properly, you know, you can keep this going, and then you can buy one, sell that one, buy another one, sell a third, you know, buy a third one, buy a small building. And it's just all about running the numbers and making sure that the numbers make sense for whatever it is that you're going to buy. It's almost like if you have your own apartment, you know, if your apartment's $750 plus you've got like kids schooling and so forth, as long as the numbers make sense and you're within your budget, then it's fine. That's the thing about real estate, is that it does take a level of responsibility, and it, you know, it can be arduous at times and sometimes boring. And that's what's hard for women, I find, is that when you got to sit down, you got to get the spreadsheet out, you got to plug in all the numbers, you know, the kids are screaming, the house is upside down, you know, you have, for women at least, you have a spouse, you know, they have demands. It can be hard, you know, it can be hard, but there's a lot of companies and a lot of people that you can hire to be on your team, like lawyers, like accountants, who, you know, at the end of the day, you just have to trust them. And when they don't do their best work, you fire them. That's it. You just have to trust them.
That's good advice.
Yeah, no, it's so shrewd. I know,
really,
it's so shrewd.
We're so afraid that, but what if they don't do a good job? But what if they, what if, and then because of that, what if we don't do anything?
Aywa. It's like haram وعيب وهذا وهذا, and maybe they will know my friend and they will say, no. I had to learn so fast to get over that. And here in Canada, you know, I thought, okay, I'm going to hire other people like within my community to help work on properties. They didn't do a good job. I had to fire them. That's it. You're just fired. That's it. Khalas. You don't do a good job, you're fired. That's it. It's not personal, but if I'm hiring you to cut the grass and we're paying $500 a month to cut grass and you're not doing it and I'm getting complaints from tenants, that's it. I'm sorry. I have to let you go. I can't keep you on because I can't deal with, you know, the tenants complaining, and then especially the same like Kuwait, you know, you can call the city and the city will send an inspector out, you know, they will send Baladia out to your property and they'll shut the property down. There's no joke. Like, they put the paper on the door and that's it. You know what I mean? So it's like we as women, we have to get over that. I need to be nice and make everybody feel happy. No, it's your business. It's your business.
And it's okay. That doesn't mean anything. It just means that you're running your business. That's it.
Yeah, it's exactly. It's not personal. It's a business. So you have to do what you need to do in order to sustain the business, and especially in real estate, like many small businesses, the numbers have to make sense. So if you're going to pay for something twice or thrice, and you know, and you're paying someone and they're not doing the work properly, it's either a courageous conversation like, hey, you know, I just want to let you know this is happening and what's going on. Is there a reason? You know, is something going on that we don't know about? Or how can I help you to be better? Or, you know, this has now happened 2 and 3 times. I'm sorry, but we're going to have to find, you know, another provider. Yeah. It's hard. It's hard to even say it, but we just have to. And we're, especially us, you know, as Arabs, we're raised, you know, to have that. It's a beautiful thing. Yes, it's a beautiful thing, you know, and I'm always trying to defend it, but we're raised to be very accommodating. However, when it comes to business, like, you can't. If it's not the customer, you can't.
Well, maybe that's
you have to make
sure. Think of it. Maybe we can twist it in a way that we are being accommodating to the client. Maybe that's what I'm gonna do now.
Yeah. Oh yeah, listen. You gotta be like, if the tenant calls you and they broke the door, yani they were the ones, their kids took their bike and rammed. I'll give you an example that we have all the time. The kids took the bike, they rammed the door down. They will call you and tell you, we don't know how it happened. We came home, the door was hanging. We're not sure. Aliens. It was aliens, okay? Fine. You have to, as the landlord, you have to accept it. Calm down, خلاص, get it fixed. Move on. But if it's somebody who's doing a service for you and they're not doing it,
And you're paying
no,
them.
it's, yes, and you're paying them, and materials, here's the thing, even in Kuwait, even if manpower is not as expensive as abroad, materials are materials. You know, Ace Home Hardware is Ace Home Hardware all over the world. Prices are pretty much the same, you know, globally. So you're paying for materials that are being wasted. And so that's where in real estate, that's where the maturity and the responsibility comes in, that, you know, you kind of have to, even if you have managers, you kind of have to still be in touch with them, watch over them, and make sure that things are getting done, because the other side is that real estate, you know, as we said, it is a money game, it is numbers, and when things don't go right, well, you know, then when Baladia shows up and they put the paper on the door, now it's going to cost you 3 times more and fines. So it's better to make sure that you're doing it right the first time, and you've already screened your providers. That's another thing I would suggest too, is that if you are going to work with a company to do repairs, you want to screen them. And it's kind of like reverse interviewing, whereas you're interviewing the companies, like, do you work with other landlords? What properties have you worked on? Do you have a portfolio you can show me? The same with lawyers. You know, are you a real estate lawyer? Do you have a large portfolio of clients? You know, the accountant, and so forth. Because if you are going to, 1 property is easy, 2 properties, easy. But once you start getting 3 and 4 and 5, especially if you have outside of the country, inside of the country, you know, you're going to want to make sure that you're working with good people, the right people who are going to ensure your success in this business and in anything. Because then what I always suggest for people to do is, once you've accumulated, you know, a little nest egg, say 2, 3, 4, 5,000 KD, you're going to want to take that 5,000 KD and invest that into something else, maybe like a stock portfolio, or you know, recently we just invested in retirement homes in the U.S. So we took a small portion, and then we went in with a pool of investors. So there's maybe like 500 real estate investors, and everybody puts like 5,000, 5,000, 5,000. And so once you get further down the line, you might want to take that money and then invest it in something else, or get in with a pool of investors, you know. So then you start to branch out your investments, and that's how you become the everyday millionaire.
Okay. That's so interesting. I'm thinking. I'm processing.
I know it's a lot. I know it's a lot. It's a lot to take in. And we're lucky in the Gulf region. We're very lucky because now there's so many opportunities, and there's so many different avenues where you can invest your money in the Gulf region. You know, you take a flight to the UAE, you can get connected with investors group. Hatta even in Kuwait, there's at all the banks, you can get in touch with an investor, and you can start, you know, investing your money in different portfolios. Before I left, I was at KFH talking with one of the guys there in the bank, just about, you know, because for expats it's a little bit different than, say, you know, indigenous Kuwaitis. And there are so many different avenues where you can invest your money, and they're safe. And there is like investors group in Kuwait, and they are, you know, putting monies in different portfolio funds and investing it for the people. And if you're doing it for the long term, you will see success at the end. You will see that the money will accumulate, the money will grow. You know, there's different funds in Kuwait that I follow, like KIPCO and so forth. So especially for, you know, for local Kuwaitis, there's a lot of avenues to get into. But like you said, the knowledge is so overwhelming that people get discouraged.
So would you recommend that you, like, for anyone who's just beginning, to
Yeah.
choose one thing and then try it?
Yeah.
Or do you recommend that they look into many things?
I once read that there are two types of people. There is the workhorse who knows what they're doing and they go yani sida, straight. And then there's the hummingbird. They go a little bit yasar, yamin, yasar, yamin, sida, what a little bit here and there. I'm kind of a hummingbird. So I will today, oh, I saw this. Okay, I'm going to call. I'm going to see who I can talk to, find out about this. But then I'll say, oh, I heard about this. Okay, I'm going to call, find out about this. And I keep like a journal, and then I just put like a title. I'm really nostalgic like that. Because as we learned today, virtual calendars, no, forget it. They don't work. And I will write everything down, and then that's how I've been able to go forward. I mean, I think in the beginning, I feel I got lucky, but it's not luck. It's just a lot of hard work. And then I just continue to grow. And as I'm growing, I keep learning every day. I keep listening. I keep going online, looking at podcasts, listening to other people who are interested in the same thing that I'm doing. And even though at times I feel like this is so boring, and it does, you know, inhibit me from having like this mega wow social life, because you got to do your homework, you know, you just have to show up. Or I go to, you know, we're lucky in Kuwait and also in Canada, we have like a lot of Zooms where people are talking about all these things. I will sign up and just sit and listen. So I think that's the thing, is just, for me, I like to learn a little bit about all the different things and then see where I can put myself. If someone wasn't comfortable with that, then they can choose one thing, learn about that, and then go forward in that. And I feel for real estate, I think really, if I was like local Kuwaiti, I would go to the banks and see who's going to give me the best rate, who's going to give me the most money, and then start looking at what properties are for sale within my budget and just go from there. I would say that that would be the smartest thing that I would recommend someone to do. And if they couldn't invest in Kuwait at this time, then possibly look abroad and see.
We can get a loan from the banks for investing in real estate?
To my knowledge, the last time I checked, because I'm an NBK girl, the last time I checked, I know, I hope they see this. Like, we're going to be on a commercial soon. Well, lucky we're going to be on a commercial. So I'm an NBK girl. The last time I checked at NBK, I think they were giving loans for only, I think if you meet a certain threshold, of course, they were giving loans to invest abroad. I don't know if they still have that product. It would just be a simple phone call, really. I mean, if you call any of the banks, they're very eager to help you, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. You're going to call
I
them.
would think. Yeah, exactly. I know for sure KFH, because I was just at KFH like 3 weeks ago. I know for sure KFH is giving loans. For the most part, I think if you have a plan, it's your business as long as you pay them back. And I know personally a few teachers who have taken loans, like over the years that I've been in and out of Kuwait, who did take loans over, like, say, a 5-year term or 6-year term, whatever your term is, and they have bought properties abroad, and then they're all paid off now. Most 90% of the ladies I know, like, or folks that I know who bought outside, they're all paid off. Yeah, so it's just having that plan, that initial plan. And I don't, like, if you own your own home, I know there's some different regulations pending if you own the home or if you were given the home. So I wouldn't want to, I don't know the regulations, so that's something you'd have to look into, you know, like with Shaun or whoever, with the Wizara, you know, for housing. But it just really takes a little bit of homework, because even when we had like a meeting with investors group, you know, they did like a meeting, they bring a speaker, they even are open to expats who want to invest their money while, you know, living abroad. So they're open to everybody. It's just a matter of just tapping in and making the phone calls. And I find that's the fear and the lizard brain. I don't know if you've ever seen Seth Gordon when they talk about the lizard brain. You can find it on YouTube. It's like a TED Talk. It's the part of your brain that is a kind of archaic, ancient, that kind of holds you back. It's like the fear part, you know, where you're not allowing yourself, you're not getting up, you know, make the phone call for 5 minutes, take a few notes, check your bank account, okay, where are we at? Having that conversation with your spouse, you know, or with your fiance, whoever, like, this is what I want to do. Are you in? Can we do this together? Like, can we live the next 2 years without spending our whole salary? Can we do this together? And so that's kind of the lizard brain. Like, it's just having those hard conversations, you know, showing up, doing the things that are difficult, that are hard. But in the end, even if you never act on it, at least you learn something. And maybe if you put it down in your universe, in your manifestation, you might fall on something else. You know what I mean? You might fall into, recently I saw that in Montenegro, they were having also like a pool of, like, so there would be like 4 of us or 5 or 10, and we, all of us put in 10,000, say, I think it's like 10,000 USD, and we all own the property. And it's people from all over the world. Yeah, and then we're kind of like a mini board of directors, and then we decide, okay, are we going to rent it? Are we going to Airbnb? Or are we going to save it for ourselves? And then 1 week Hessa goes, 1 week I go, 1 week, you know, Badr goes, 1 week Mike goes, whoever. Yeah, so that's the thing.
Every option available.
Every option. Even now in Serbia, today I got something on Viber about Serbia, to buy property in Serbia. Like, that's the thing, is markets globally are opening because we just live in a globalized world now. So they're opening more and more and more, and people are looking into having second and third properties abroad. That's the thing. If we can't buy in our countries, because, you know, Canada is also very, very, very expensive. If we can't buy in our countries, well, overseas they also have structured payment plans that we could potentially get into.
I also, because I'm just bringing those things up because this is what I hear, like my friends talking about, you know, like the people who aren't really into real estate. So I think I heard sometime, like, you know, when people say, like, no, I want to do it on my own. I don't want to partner with anyone. I don't want to take a loan. I don't, you know, like, and I feel like I want to advise them as in, don't make it too hard on yourself. Like, you know, sometimes maybe you just have to risk it. It may sound like it's a risk, but it's a worse risk if you don't do it and you end up doing nothing.
It's like analysis paralysis.
Yeah.
You're analyzing to the point you're just paralyzed, and you're like, I'm not going to do it. There comes a point where, you know, as I said, like, I'm just a teacher. So my teacher salary is only going to get me so far. Mm-hmm. I have to take a loan, and I have to be responsible with my loan. It's not like, okay, I take a loan and then I spend all that money. Mm-hmm. No, I have to take a loan. I have to use what I need to use to get, like, say, to have that down payment. But I also have to be mature enough to see, okay, I need to run my numbers right now. So if I'm taking a loan to get a mortgage, is it possible for me to fix up that property a little bit, refinance the property, pay off my loan, and then I only have the mortgage. So there are so many strategies and plans. It's just literally sitting down, listening to the experts, talking to the bank, running your numbers, having an exit strategy. So, you know, me and you are in business. Everything goes wrong. What are we going to do? Well, the only thing we can do is sell the property. That's it. We sell the property, we take a loss. You know, as long as we break even, we're good. You know, I also feel like sometimes when it comes to business, people want to go big. It's okay to start small and inch forward slow by slow by slow. It's totally okay to do that. And I would even recommend people to start very small and go slowly. Overnight businesses have taken 20 years, you know. Overnight success takes forever. And there is some sacrifice. And that's another thing, too, that I know, like our generation and even younger, you know, alhamdulillah, our parents were able to give to us a lot. And so we're not really used to sacrificing like, say, our grandparents would, you know?
Oh, that's so
There
true.
is, yeah. It totally, I think about, like, say, my grandparents, you know, and they were coming out of the war. Like, you have one dress, you have one dress. Like, for us, it's like I have one dress for today, but I need another dress for tomorrow.
That's so true. That's so true,
Yeah,
because you know
yeah.
I see myself and you know the people around me, and how we talk about. I used to no longer do, but you know how I used to talk about how it's hard to invest. It would be so hard to invest in real estate, but you know you're walking around, you're driving a luxury car, and we're in with the luxury clothes and the diamonds and it's so, and the big house, and then and we have, like, for example, I'm Kuwaiti, so I have no rent. I'm living in my in-laws. So what is so hard? There's nothing hard.
Yeah. No, well, you made such a great point. And I know the feeling because I hear a lot of my girlfriends and my peer group say the same thing. And none of us are paying rent. So why can't we take, you know, excuse me, 300 KD a month and put it aside? Hatta we could even put it in an investment. Doesn't have to be real estate. Could just be an investment fund, you know, for 10 years, like a GIC or something that it's money put away, we don't touch it. But we want to have nice cars and clothes, and it's a mindset. You know, you come to a point where you have to have the mindset that it's okay that I have this bag for the next 6 months, and that's it. It's a mindset, and I am kind of like a buy and seller and like a junk collector, and I like to buy and sell. So I always post on my feed like, okay, I bought this, I sold this, you know, I bought this gold, now I'm selling it at this price. And I find like a lot of people are interested in it. It's just that fear for them to, you know, go forward. But once you start, even you'd be surprised, even once you start on a budget, you will slow by slow get used to being on a budget. I never thought that would be true, but you'll get used to it. You will totally get used to it, and we think people care, but it's not true. People don't really care, and our friends, they love us anyway. They don't care. Nobody cares. Like, I'll give you an example. It's true. This year at Ramadan, I told myself, I am only buying 2 dira'as. That's it. 2. And I'm wearing those 2. And I'm doing my own makeup, and I'm doing my own hair. And that's it. And if I wear them every day, I don't care. And you know what? No one cared. No one cared. No one said anything. And I only bought 2. And I was like, because last year I had 1 for every single day. Then khalas, Ramadan was over. I was like, I have 35 dira'as. What am I going to do with them now? You know? Yeah. So it's like we have to, especially as ladies, because we're really solicited to spend our money on everything.
Yes.
once you get a budget going and you make a plan, it all starts in the mind. Once the plan starts in the mind, you'd be surprised in 1 year what you can do.
Yes, and it takes about like with me, it takes about a month to adjust to a budget.
Yeah.
So what
Yeah.
I did recently was, so I'd pay off my loans, I'd put away the savings for, you know, like the kids' schools, whatever, like that, like home finances, things that are going to be spent. And then I'd pay off my investment, and then I'd have leftover chunk of money, right? So I take away 200 KD and put them as just like backup money.
Mm-hmm.
And then the month after, I decided to take away 250 and just test myself, you know? Like, I'm not gonna die.
Yeah, amazing. That's amazing.
Yeah,
Mashallah, that's awesome.
I just started to see where was my like comfort zone of, okay, that's it, you know? Because at the end of the day, I'm a mom, and you know, I have to take my kids out. They have play dates.
Yeah.
So I realized that I got to a number where, you know what, that's it. This is my monthly expenses, and anything that's left over from that just straight away goes to saving. Just goes to saving. And it's just such an I didn't think it's that small of a number. I always thought,
you know,
I need more.
Exactly. It's like a curse. Because we come from abundance. I mean, mashallah, you know, we're living in first world countries where, like, if I want a coffee, I can right now from my chair, I can order me and you a coffee in 2 different countries. You know what I mean? Like, literally. So we think that everything has to go big, but actually no. If you start so small, you will see little by little the change take place. Little by little, the change will happen, and within 1 year, like, you can have 4,000 KD saved.
Yeah, and that's a good down
Very
payment
easy.
for a small, like something small.
You know what? It actually is a good down payment. It's like
right?
half the cost of a house in Turkey. Yeah, I mean, it doesn't have to be in Istanbul.
Yeah.
But you could look and say, Bursa, for 10,000 KD, you could, oh my gosh, you can get a gorgeous apartment.
Yeah.
Like,
so you get that
even a duplex.
And then the mortgage can be paid off by the rent.
That's right. That's exactly, that's the strategy. That is the strategy. The rent covers everything. And if you're 2 people, like say you and your spouse, and you're both saving, like say 500 KD a month, and you know, I totally get it with kids. I don't have any, but my siblings have kids, and like all morning my sister's sending me 1,000 screenshots what she's ordering on Amazon for the baby. And I understand. No, I know. It's a lot. Kids are such an expense. They're so beautiful, you know. They're from God, but they're such an expense, really, truly. So it's like, even with the kids, it's like, could I possibly buy toys secondhand? Why not? Yeah. They're just toys. Could we go to City Center and they buy a few toys for 1 or 2 KD? Halas, we don't have to go, you know, to wherever and buy very expensive toys. Can I give my clothes, like my baby clothes, to my friend, and she, you know, give me her clothes? Absolutely. And like, just switch off. It's not ebb, and that's another thing. As we talked earlier, you know, especially as Middle Eastern women, there's this kind of like cloud of ebb and haram, but it's not ebb. They're kids. They're gonna destroy it anyway, you know. And in the future,
appreciate that real estate when they grow up.
Yes, exactly. And if you even keep it for yourself, excuse me, because not all people are comfortable renting it. I have a few friends, they're not comfortable with that. So they bought it, they paid it off. Well, halas, they keep it for themselves. Whatever is the taxes and the water and the gas or whatever, they pay it themselves. Maybe cost them whatever, 100 KD or 50 KD a month. I'm just guessing some loose numbers. In the future, your children inherit that.
Yeah, exactly.
Or, you know, you
They're
go
not
on
gonna inherit
vacation
the
there, you have
clothes.
somewhere to live. Uh-huh.
They're not gonna inherit the clothes.
That's it. They're not even gonna know. Like, I mean, most kids are taking their clothes off. You know, like
Exactly.
we're always telling them at school, like, please keep your shoes on. I'm always like, if your parents knew what you did with your clothes, like, they would be so upset. You know, because they throw it everywhere. They don't care. They're kids. They don't know anything. You know, so
I have
in the future
also
they'll
one tip.
inherit that.
I'll have I have one tip for all the moms out there, for the Kuwaiti moms. So as Kuwaitis, right, we receive 50 KD from the government for every child.
Okay.
So so I have two kids. So monthly, my husband gets 100 KD. 100 KD, so 50 KD per child. If you think of it as 50 KD, 50, what is it? It's like lunch.
Yeah, around.
Uh,
Yeah, yeah,
Like,
yeah,
yeah, lunch at a restaurant, right?
yeah.
So So what my husband and I do, this 100 KD every month, we never put it in our budget. It was never money that is going to be used to go out or to travel or to do something. It was the kids' money. So what
Hmm.
we do every month is take the 50 KD and we keep it in the safe. And when the gold goes down, we buy gold coins.
That's amazing.
And so now my daughter, she has like this sack of gold coins. And my son, he's a year and a half, and he has gold coins too.
That's amazing. That's
And
amazing. You know, it's my sister's doing the same. We, as I mentioned earlier, our governments are very similar. We have the same. You get we call it like a baby
yeah,
bonus, child tax or whatever. And she does the same thing. Whatever comes in for my niece, she puts it. It's sort of an allowance. I guess the allowance is based on your income. I don't know how it is in Kuwait, but it's kind of based on your income. So whatever you get, she puts to the side as well, like
yeah,
in their own account for them. I think that's absolutely wonderful. I mean, I think it's genius, and
yeah. It's
then they
like
have
a
that money for
small
their
way.
future.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's how we, as also parents, teach ourselves to invest, and then the bigger
yeah,
things become easier.
yeah, because like if we look now at inflation, like by the time they're ready to go to post-secondary, it's going to be a cost. When they want a car, they're going to want for many different things. And so just having that budget for them, that savings for them, takes
Mm-hmm.
the stress off of you as a parent and off of
Exactly,
them as well. And
exactly.
I'm all for secondhand for kids. Just wash it. Just wash it. Spray it with the hose. If it's a toy, spray it with those colors. Put the Dettol on it. Spray it with the hose. I mean, at school, they're playing in the dirt and eating and sharing
Yeah, they don't
and,
care.
swapping food. They are kids. They don't care. And that money, you save it. And as we said, get an apartment. Get something for them to have. And, the old timers really, this is how the old timers survived. That's what they did. There's no way, our
Wait,
grandparents would spend the way we spend. Never.
that's so
There's no
true.
way. It,
That's so true. And
they
it's
weren't
really
they weren't
hit.
raised that way.
It's really hit like Mark when you said that our grandparents are used to, like, they're not used to living, and so it's easy for them to save, to live on a smaller budget. Just
Yeah.
realizing that this is just the way you're used to living, and you can get used to a new way of living.
Mhm.
It's okay, it just needs
It's
time.
true. That's right. It's okay. It just needs time. And when you get to that point in your mind that it's okay, it's fine. I don't have a new bag. That's fine. I don't have the latest car. It's okay. Anyways, doesn't matter. With the way people are driving these days, you don't want a new car. You know what I mean? And, especially when you have kids, it's like, okay, they're going to be small. It's expensive. But as they get older, this will become easier. and we can go forward, you know? And it's like our plan is 2 years. Of course, we don't want to suffocate ourselves to not
Yeah.
enjoy anything. Or like maybe this year we won't travel, you know, we'll just go somewhere close, you know, maybe for a weekend here and there. And it's just having that courage to step out of our comfort zone and say, okay, this is how it's going to be for right now. And, you know, as I said, people who will judge you, they're not your friend, they don't care. But people who are your friends, who are your family, who love you, they're not going to say anything. They're actually going to look at you as an inspiration, and they're going to want to do the same thing. And so that's the part that I think is important, is just having the
Yeah.
courage to be like, this is what I'm going to do, and this is what we're doing as a family, period. You know, and as we said, like, so my grandparents came to Canada. They didn't speak English. They couldn't read or write. They had no idea what was going on. You know, it's a new kind. They're coming from my maternal grandparents came from Croatia to Canada. They had no idea what's going on here. The only thing they could do is work and save and buy real estate. And they sacrificed, you know. Even my dad came to Canada from Lebanon. Like, this is totally, you know, as you know, it's totally different life.
Yeah.
That's all that he could do, was just get a job and, you know, start doing some properties. And so that's what he did. And, you know, those little sacrifices over time pay off. I was actually sitting with my dad about 3 days ago, and he was like, you know, Baba, this is 45 years in the making. And in the beginning, it seems so hard, but after time, you know, shwai, shwai, you start to see the journey, and it starts to work itself out.
Wow. Thank you so
Yeah.
much, Natasha, for the lovely talk. I don't think I had enough, but I
Oh, I
think
know.
it's
Thank
gonna cut
you.
us
Yeah,
off
we can
now.
always revisit this.
Yes,
Yeah, we can always
let's
revisit
do
in the
that.
future.
Yes, we'll
Yeah,
do real
it's
estate
my
talks.
pleasure. Yeah, I love it. It's my pleasure, and
Yeah.
I'm so grateful to be on here and to share that with everyone, and I hope to do it again. It's my pleasure.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for your time. I really enjoyed the talk and I learned so much. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And I hope to see you when you come back to Kuwait.
Oh yeah. I'll be back in 2 months, and I'm
Okay.
like dying. I'm like, oh, I need to
Okay.
eat. I'm dying. I want to go for a walk. Yeah, so if you see somebody walking outside in 45-degree heat at
That's
like 6
Natasha.
p.m., that's me. That's me.
Thank you so much for the lovely talk and
Thank you
thank you for
so
all
much.
the information. And see you
It's
soon.
my
Have a great
pleasure.
day.
Bye-bye.
Bye.